It goes without saying that products are different from services. So when it comes to marketing, marketers have to approach how they market products differently from how they approach services. Let's dive into product marketing and all the management that accompanies it. In this chapter, we're going to be talking about the different types of product attributes, understand the different categories of products. Also, we'll dive into the life cycle of products, because where a product is in its life cycle determines, or sometimes can influence, not determines, but can influence the marketing strategies that are used for that product. If a product is very early, it's a newer product, marketers will market it differently than if a product is a mature product. So we're going to talk about that. And then we'll get into packaging and the influence of packaging when it comes to products. All right, the characteristics by which products are defined and differentiated is called the product attribute. Okay, product attributes, again, are the characteristics by which products are identified and differentiated. So when it comes to product attributes, there are really three levels of attributes. The attributes, or these characteristics of products, can either be the core benefits of the product. These are the main benefits a consumer gets from a product. The attributes can be expected attributes, which are the basic attributes necessary for delivering the benefits or that have become accepted. And then the third one are add-on attributes, which are unexpected extra attributes. These three levels of attributes are unique to products. Services do not have core benefits, expected attributes, and then add-on attributes. It's not really a thing. Let me show you how products do it. Here we are looking at a cell phone over time. It says over time because when cell phones were first invented and when they were first catching on, the expected value or the expected attributes and the core benefit and the add-on attributes were quite different. But now they're this. Let's dive in and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so the core benefit of a cell phone is to provide convenient communication because you have it with you all the time. That is the core benefit, why cell phones exist, okay, as a product. Expected attributes, these are the things that we've come to expect a cell phone to have. Long battery life, internet capabilities as examples, maybe even a high-res camera, right? Some of these have become expected attributes, and back in the day, we didn't really put them in the expected attributes column. We had a lot of these kinds of perks outside in the add-on attributes parameters, where we would look at things like, where now we might look at things like the color of the phone might be an add-on attribute, like, oh, they have gold this year, right? That's sort of add-on. It's not expected and it's not a core benefit. Are you with me? So products have these attributes or these characteristics that differentiate them. And as a marketer, when you're going to market a product, it's important for you to understand which of the benefits that a product has or which of the attributes that a product has that you need to communicate to the customer so that they see value in that product. You can't go and start to talk to customers about how your cell phones that you've just come up with at X company are the best, most convenient phones ever, because you can really carry them around with you. Every phone does that, right? So as a marketer, you learn that you're not really communicating or trying to sell the product based on the core benefit. You have to really try to find opportunities to tap into some of these expected attributes and some of these add-on attributes, because those three together is what really sells a product and not so much the core benefit by itself. Okay, let's move on to product categories. Product categories are the different types of ways that we as marketers package or group consumer products based on how you and I shop for them. Okay, so categories of products are types of consumer products as defined by how we shop for them. So when it comes to products, as a marketer, you need to know, am I selling a product? Am I working at a company whose products are convenience products, shopping products? Let's talk about these two. So convenience products are purchased frequently, widely available, and priced affordably. A lot of grocery products fall into this category here. You purchase them frequently. They're widely available, priced affordably, right? So am I in that kind of product category in terms of the company that I work for? Or does my company really sell shopping products? These are products for which the consumer, you and I, spend more time thinking about and purchasing. We take a lot of time to think about it. This might be insurance products, for example, right? Where we're taking our time to really look at what our options are before we choose that product. And then there's specialty products. These products are unique. You don't really find them everywhere. They're sort of specialized. So this might be your boutique products, your high-end purses, your high-end fashion products. This might also include very expensive vehicles that are really specialized, where a lot of people can't afford them, but they're uniquely made, and so they have that unique factor. They're very much the opposite of convenience products, which are usually purchased frequently, widely available, priced affordably. Oftentimes, specialty products are quite the opposite. Now, unsought products. These are products that the consumer has no awareness of until there's some sort of external cue. So you're not really even aware that this thing exists, and then all of a sudden something happens and now you're on the market for it. A good example is funeral insurance, where you didn't realize that you would need to invest in something like this because something unexpected happened in your life, So those are the fourth category of products, are unsought products. Now that we know the four main ways that products are categorized, the next thing that you should know is that there are actually additional ways that products can be categorized. And the reason it's important for us to even talk about product categorization in the first place is because, as I already said, as a marketer, you need to know how you're going to apply your 7 Ps to your product. And if you don't understand the kind of category your product falls into, you're going to be mismatching the value with the service. So the reason we're talking about the product categories, what I actually already said, was that it changes how you market the product. It changes the price you're going to assign. It changes the promotion. It changes the placement. It changes the people element. It changes the physical evidence. It changes everything that you do. If you have a specialty product, for example, you're going to go out of your way to make people that walk into your shop or come to your website feel like they're in a boutique experience than if you sold a convenience product, for example, right? Are you with me? So it's really important to understand the category within which your product falls. So think about the last time you purchased a product and think to yourself, was that any of these four? With that in the back of your mind, let's jump into the other types of product categorization that exist out there. There's also products categorization based on durability. That's another way that marketers or businesses will categorize products. They'll say, do we sell durable products because they last a very long time and are not consumed quickly? Or do we sell non-durable products? So in this case, you could take all products in the world and basically put them into these two categories, right? Regardless of whether a couch is a really high-end specialty couch or whether it's a really low, cheap couch, you might say, well, all couches are durable, right? So that's an example of how all products that may otherwise fall into those first categories into different buckets there could easily fall into one or the other one of these. Are you with me? Okay. So that's another way to gauge the categorization of products. The other way to categorize products is based on, are they really products that fulfill the basic needs that people have? Are they consumer packaged goods, which are often consumed quickly? So these staple products are things that we're used to, like buying milk or eggs or something that you always have in your home. And then CPG products are also consumed quickly. Most foods fall into that, but so CPG goods would be all food products as well as all non-food products that are really consumed quickly and often. So this would include staple products, for example. Okay. And then you can also categorize things based on the urgency with which we purchase them or the stimuli by which we use to purchase them. So for example, impulse products, these are low cost products that we buy based on impulse. There's some sort of trigger or stimulus that causes us to buy that thing on impulse. Think about the last time you were in line at a grocery store. You saw something while you were in line and you picked it up. That was an impulse buy, right? Different from an emergency product. These are purchased during an immediate need or emergencies. So you find yourself in a situation where you are at an amusement park, or you're out with your family, or you're out with friends, and you really need that bottle of water, but it's $3. A $3 bottle of water, a $5 bottle of water. You're going to spend that money and get that water because there's no other water. You didn't bring any. So it's an emergent situation. So you're going to spend that money. When emergent situations are around, people, you and I, are less price conscious, and we're willing to spend that money to get that benefit, to get that product. So emergency products are things that we purchase when we have an immediate need or during an emergency. Okay. And now that we understand product attributes and product categories, and we know that marketers market differently based on those two things, now let's get into product life cycles, because marketers also market their products differently based on the cycle, the life cycle that that product is in. A product life cycle is the typical pattern that a successful new product takes from development to the end of its life. And most product life cycles look like this, but not all. Okay. So typically a product starts here where it's very new, it's being developed. And at this point, it has no sales, right? So the green line is non-existent. The product isn't being sold yet. Think about the first ever phone that was developed, the first ever computer that was developed, that was, mass produced for us. Think about, the first, X type of jeans, whatever it is that are products that we purchase. At the development stage, there's no money. We're just spending money on the development of that product. And you as a marketer, guess what you're doing? You're doing customer research. Your job is to make sure that they're producing the right kind of product that's actually not going to fail. And you're getting customer feedback and putting together focus groups and other ways to understand if the product is going to be acceptable and really do well with your consumers when it launches. So then we get into the launch or the introduction of that product. At that point, you are still losing money because you're only selling a few at that point. You're in that introduction stage, but at least you're selling some money. You're selling some product, but your profits are still low, but they're starting to climb up, right? To the point where profits might even hit a break-even point where what you're selling and what you are making are sort of netting out. So you're selling, your costs and your sales zero each other out. So you're not making any money. So you're going to hit that point before you then start making profit, this red line here. So at this point where you're making profit and you're also selling a good amount of the products, you're really ramping up the sale of the products, you're in the growth stage. Some companies stay in this growth stage for months, and some stay in this growth stage for years and decades, okay? But then eventually you get to maturity. At this point, most people that would buy the product have bought the product. And so you're starting to see a bit of a decline. Well, sales peak at this point, and profits are starting to stagger down a little bit, right? Because you're really selling a lot of products, but you're starting to fall off a little bit, right? At the maturity stage, you have that little spot here where you're really enjoying the benefits, but everything to the right of that is really dropping, right? So again, it doesn't always just take a short amount of time. It could take years, but you need to know if your product is a mature product and people have come to be familiar with it, they would buy it, they don't have any problem with it, or if you're starting to go into the decline stage, which is where you start to lose sales and you also start to lose profits. Think about why companies let's just use a company like the soda companies, right? The Pepsis and the Cokes of the world. They are clearly not in development or introduction. They are not really in growth, right? Because they've been around for a long time. Most people already know about them. The people that are going to buy them will buy them. I would say they're probably in the mature stage, but they are struggling and fighting to not go into the decline stage. And so you see a lot of advertising for Pepsi and Coke, right? So it's almost like, why don't these companies just stop advertising? Why don't they stop marketing? Why didn't they stop sponsoring events? Why don't they stop showing up at different promotional opportunities? Why are they everywhere? Why do they continue to invest in marketing and in awareness and in all the branding that they do? Why? Because they're trying to avoid this dip off, right? So companies are constantly trying to stay viable so that they maintain a good amount and a healthy amount of profit. And guess who helps with that? Marketers. Okay. Let's jump into this marketing and the product life cycle stages. Perfect segue, right? So based on the particular product life cycle that a product is in, the marketing objective changes. When products are in the introduction stage, you're really focused as a marketer on creating awareness. When you're in the growth stage, you're trying to differentiate that product. When you're in the maturity stage, you're trying to stimulate repurchase, maintain the brand awareness and brand loyalty, what I just talked about. When you're in the decline stage, you're just looking to harvest the remaining profit that's available. So you know that you're declining, but you as a marketer are still trying to make sure that you are out there and trying to get the little bit that you can out of it. So harvest anything remaining. The way that you promote is really, really hard. You go hardcore in the initial 3 stages, really hardcore in the growth and maturity stage, and then you really decrease your promotion in the decline stage. All right. And it goes on from there. I want you to make sure that you take a look at this whole part of your textbook as well. Make sure that you're clear and familiar with all the things that marketers do during the product life cycle to make sure that products stay very viable. Because as you go up this thing, you also run into more competition at the peaks, at the growth and maturity stages, and then it dips off on the ends, on the introduction and decline. So that also affects how marketers market. All right, you with me? I hope so. All right, so the product life cycle that we just talked about, those 4 phases, can apply to any of the following product groupings. So you need to know when you're working at a company as a marketer, you need to know, I know my product life cycle. I know that we are a mature product. I know that we're a growth product. I know that we're a new product, whatever it is, right? But you should also know that not only does that classification apply to your individual product, it can also apply to the entire category. So for example, a product class is a group of products that are generally considered substitutes of each other. So all of these are cars, even though one might be a certain type of car, one might be another certain type of car, they all fall into the category of class. So all of these may all be in a decline stage. All cars might be in a decline stage, as an example, right? So make sure you kind of get out of not just what my product is in its life cycle, but what is the category going through, right? And the same with the form, product form. These are the smaller segments of product classes. So for example, are all trucks in decline, right? There was certainly a period of time when all trucks were in decline because people considered them to be gas guzzlers and people were staying away from trucks. Several years ago in the 2000s, this happened. And so if you know that your product falls within a certain product form and that product form as an entire category is being squeezed, then you know that your messaging needs to not only apply to the product, but also to the category, right? The way that you talk about your F-150 needs to consider the fact that all F-150s are considered gas guzzlers. So what are you going to say differently? And how are you going to reach the people that you need to? Okay. Before you even get to the product brand. So I just told you the F-150 example. So again, the specific product offered by the company. What is your product life cycle for your product? And how does that apply to the form and then also to the class? One last thing about product life cycles. Product life cycles do change based on the type of product. So remember I said that what we saw at the beginning, that is what we typically see as the product life cycle. We typically see this kind of bell curve, but sometimes it looks different based on the type of product that you sell. So make sure you take a close look in your textbook at the different product types. For example, high learning products. These are products where they're newer to people. So it's gonna have a high learning curve. So people are not used to driving autonomous cars, for example, right now at least. So the bell curve is not going to be as belly. It's not going to be as belly, right? It's not going to be up and down. It's going to take a lot more introduction, a lot more growth before it gets to maturity. On the other hand, a low learning product with a low learning curve will go quickly from introduction to growth. You see the difference there. Then a fashion product typically has ups and downs, right? It can sort of go up and do really well, hit maturity, go to decline, come back up again. A lot of times things come back up and down and up and down, especially when they have seasonality tied to them. So you can see that kind of product life cycle. And then you can also see fad products, which basically just go up, decline, and die and never come back. Okay. So make sure you understand the product life cycle and especially how that affects marketing and what marketers do once they have this knowledge of the product life cycle of the product that they happen to be managing. Lastly, let's talk about packaging. When you package a product, you're designing and creating the container or wrapper for that product. Not only does packaging protect the product from damage and also present any government required warnings, it also communicates the brand and its benefits. The way that something is packaged changes how you think of that thing, doesn't it? You ever gotten something that you unboxed, took your time to really see, you took it apart and you're like, wow, this looks really high end. There's something premium about this, right? It shifted or maybe confirmed your perspectives on a brand or your perspectives of a product because of how it was packaged. So marketers very much get involved in the packaging decisions about the products that they represent. All right, so let's review what we've talked about with product management. There are multiple life cycle stages of products. Also, products are categorized into attributes and also by what's called product categories, and there's several of those product categories. And we also talked about the fact that based on the life cycle that a product is in, it changes how marketers market that product and what we emphasize and the value that they bring to that person. And also the importance of packaging. All right, so take all that with you, understand what product management is, and the fact that there are literally product managers out there that are marketers that do this all the time and own the product that you are used to buying at a store or online or wherever. Somebody is the product manager or the product marketing manager for that product, meaning that they are 100% responsible for the P's of that product, but have to think through the lens of the categories, the lens of the attributes, and the lens of the product life cycle in order to keep their product viable. Whether you're buying a Reese's peanut butter cup or a car or you're buying a stick of gum, somebody is the product marketing manager for that product and is responsible for making sure that that product has the right price, the right placement, the right physical evidence, everything to make sure that that product functions, and that person is responsible for understanding whether this product is in an introduction stage, a growth stage, maturity, or decline stage so that they can shift their messaging to ensure that we continue to buy that product until it's completely phased out. So keep that in the back of your mind anytime you buy anything from now on, because there's a marketing manager that is in charge of that product that you just picked up the other day. All right, take care. I'll see you in the next one.